So this will be uploaded on my YouTube later, but for now I'm going to put it in this Discord server. I used to be a part of a group called Re-International Taekwondo Australia. I was with them for 6 years. Unlike every other branch of Taekwondo in the world, they didn't do red belt, they did brown belt. I spent 3 years training to brown belt, and then spent 3 years on my brown belt. Technically a first cup, so one rank below black. I was given all of the responsibilities of a black belt, up to and including instructing. I advertised for the group, recruited for the group, trained 4 young men up to their black belt above my own station, had them coming back to me for lesson plans for like the green belts and the yellow belts and so on and so forth, because they had actually forgotten what they're supposed to be teaching. I was an instructor in everything but name, to the point that the president of the club, World Master Chung Chul Ri, was getting angry at the regional master for not letting me promote. Here's some of the cult tactics they did. They said, we aren't a school, we aren't a club, we're a family. They would love bomb new recruits. They said this is the purest martial art because Taekwondo was invented by General Che Hong Hai, who was the direct master of Master Ri, and Master Ri directly trained Brian, who was the local regional master instructor. And that you don't need any other martial art, there's nothing you can learn from other martial arts that won't improve your learning. I've later done boxing, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu, and I can tell you right now, I wasted 6 years. But they tried to drill into your mindset that this was the most pure martial art. World Master Chung Chul Ri was a Korean Marine, and blah blah blah, like this is the best. I damaged myself permanently for this club, trying to teach a student that was above my skill set, because I ran out of things to teach her and they wouldn't let me promote her. And seeing as I wasn't a black belt, wasn't an instructor, I couldn't put her forward for the black belt test, which she later went to a karate school and got a black belt within a year. I am permanently scarred for this club. When I did that injury, they kicked me out for trying to pay back my stepfather, who I had a toxic relationship with, for paying for the reconstructive surgery. Because I was being quote-unquote a standover merchant by offering escort services because I didn't have a bodyguard license, so I couldn't call myself a bodyguard. Lovely. I was politically exiled from the club. I later became an MMA enthusiast. Learned better things. But it took me years to break their programming. Ri Taekwondo is a cult. They worship Master Ri as a god. Not only do they worship Master Ri as a god, but they use us versus them narratives like other classes are more expensive and we do our best to keep ourselves the cheapest possible, even though they weren't. Like an MMA gym, you can learn multiple martial arts at the same time for less than what they were charging you to learn one. And if you know the history of Taekwondo, because I got really nerdy into it, most people who are in cults and religions are nerds and get really nerdy for the topic that they worship. So, there's W12 Taekwondo, World Taekwondo Federation, ITF Taekwondo, International Taekwondo Federation, which Ri is a splinter cell of. There's World Taekwondo Federation, which is a splinter cell of ITF as well. ATA Taekwondo Federation, or American Taekwondo Association. There is Tiger Rock Taekwondo, which is Chuck Norris's Taekwondo. There is also Jun Ri Taekwondo, not associated. And Jun Ri Taekwondo used to be called Korean Karate until General Che Hong Hai turned around and said, nah, we are making this brand and you will not be off-brand. Hostile takeover. Taekwondo is literally karate with a Korean take on it. So, they used us versus them narratives, and they painted a picture of mixed martial artists as being violent thugs that only want to go into the UFC and punch old grannies. We actually had a mixed martial artist come in just to prove a point, see how quickly he could rise through the ranks, and basically kick our asses. because he had already done Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, and a couple other things, a bit of Wing Chun. And he was painted as a thug when he left, because they wouldn't let him progress past blue belt. He was more skillful than me, and I'm a very egotistical bastard. It's hard for me to admit that. But, yeah, he should have been black belt. And he did that just to prove a point. And that was used as a means of us versus them narrative propaganda. So yeah.